It was actually quite recently that I first realised what it was.
When I moved away from my parents to study, I think everything accumulated at once.
For me, it does tend to dictate a lot of the things that I'm doing pretty much all the time.
When I was able to look back at past experiences where I'd reacted in ways that didn't seem rational.
Everything comes together to make one big issue that's just too much for me to deal with.
Until someone tells you, you just assume that it's normal to be this worried about stuff.
And causes me, to just overall, in general, feel like I can't cope.
I just had no explanation for why I'd reacted in the way that I did. It made a lot of sense that was probably like an anxiety attack.
My anxiety is mainly caused by myself and the pressure that I put on myself to do well.
You don't just wake up overnight as a teenager and like, oh, I have anxiety, help me.
My name is Jack, I'm 24 years old and I'm a journalist.
Hi, my name's Holly, I'm 21 years of age and I study nursing at Curtin University.
Hi, I'm Ali. I'm 20 years old and I'm a journalism student. I'm in my third year.
It's an interesting one because as a journalist, often you find yourself in situations where you have to sort of think quickly and you're sort of out of your comfort zone quite a bit. Generally, it's related to things that other people say and do that make me aware of my own behaviours that I never really considered.
My anxiety causes me to have a lot of doubt about myself or how a situation is going to prevail. It causes me to feel like everything's become too much at once. So those kind of situations where I'm under pressure to do well, the pressure comes purely from me and it forces me to feel like, not that I'm a failure if I don't do well, but that I owe it to myself to really push as hard as I possibly can to get the best result.
I think this is what makes OCD so specific, is that a lot of people will just have generalized anxiety, they'll be anxious about things, whereas obsessive compulsive people, they'll have certain situations where they get more stress than normal people. If one of you were to tell me right now that, you were ill, I would be like, okay, that's cool, I'm just gonna keep doing this interview. But through my mind, I'll be thinking, okay, so I'm gonna Glen 20 the room when I leave, I'm gonna make sure that I'm gonna have 2 showers and then I'll hand sanitize and then I'll just do some like Dettol wipes as well. Just that'll be fine.
It's probably something that, if it's well explained, is a lot more relatable to people than they might realise.
There are so many analogies that you can use to try and explain it. If you're in a room and there's a snake in the room and someone says, oh, there's a snake there, I'm scared, like I'm going to leave the room kind of thing, then that's a fear. Whereas if you kind of go into the room and you kind of tell your friend, you're like, oh, I think I heard once there was maybe a snake here at one point and there might be a snake here now, maybe it like laid eggs underneath the floor and there's going to be like baby snakes because once there might have been a snake here once, maybe I'm going to leave, okay, bye. That's anxiety. So it's a lot like that.
It's a real sort of tenseness in and around the shoulders.
Shortness of breath.
Compulsive thoughts.
A sort of limited sort of ability to kind of articulate what you're thinking.
Kind of like someone's squeezing you.
Limits the amount that you can sort of move around.
Sprouting all these different thoughts about one particular thing.
My arms get kind of heavy.
Feel hot and flustered.
Just a real feeling that you're quite overwhelmed.
Can't settle.
It feels like a cloud or fog in my mind.
It clouds your ability to think clearly about things.
It stops me from seeing rationally and makes it really hard for me to see past the situation.
You get so absorbed in one thing and there's all these things going on.
Everything accumulates together.
You just get so caught up in the one thing that's happening.
One thing on top of another builds and builds and builds.
Even in it, I know that I'm jumping in shadows.
And just really sits there with me and makes me feel like I'm going to have a panic attack.
So you're just intensely focused on it.
By the time it's finally over, it dissipates pretty quickly and I can start to see rationally again.
My main trigger is illness or like contamination kinds of things.
I fell ill a couple of years ago. I had an autoimmune disease, so it was something that can't be easily fixed or cured.
The whole basis of this anxiety is that I don't like the idea of things entering my body out of my control.
When you're not in the right frame of mind because you're physically sick, it can affect your mental state as well.
The idea of lots of people being there and just lots of people existing and breathing and, having their own lives and having their own illnesses and stuff, that does play on my mind.
And I had all of that at the same time as trying to deal with a physical disability, I guess.
They don't understand that it's an actual debilitating fear.
But it's something really debilitating.
It's kind of awful because in a way it makes me seem like I'm a bit, proper and high maintenance and stuff. But that's not it at all. Like, I love getting dirty. Like, I love, hiking and going to festivals and stuff. But I'll always have hand sanitizer with me. I'll still be in absolute fear that I'll be getting sick or something, I'll be slightly warm and I'll be like, oh God, here we go. Can't do anything for the next 2 weeks now. That's done. Bye. That's a good day.
That was definitely the worst that it's been for me.
I'm not angry. I just, you don't know what to do. So I was holding this little ornamental Christmas bauble, and I just got off the phone, and it was a really hard conversation that I'd had with someone that I worked with, and he was asking me to do a lot of work at the last minute, and that was really hard for me to hear. So I was holding this bauble, and I just sort of leaned back, and I was like, oh, fuck, and I threw the bauble, not expecting anything to happen. I thought it'd bounce back and I could just catch it. But it shattered everywhere. So I'm sitting there at my desk, and this is a complete overreaction to this situation. And then all of a sudden, everyone's looking at me, and this bauble is shattered. And the last thing I want is attention in this situation. And it just felt like a complete overreaction, but it wasn't, because I didn't intend to do that. It just sort of happened. And then I became very conscious of everyone around me. Had to clean up the desk, and some of the glass went over the thing to my colleague's desk, and it was just, it was a really intense thing. It wasn't great.
It really sucks, especially on social media when there's all these videos the least satisfying video in the world and stuff, and people being absolutely shocked that they feel gross by looking at stuff. The general public will see these videos and be like, oh, it's not a perfect circle, that's so annoying, and they'll turn it off, and then they'll go on with the rest of their day. Whereas someone like me, I'll look at that, and then I'll just be grossed out for about 2 days, and I'll be thinking about it, and I'll just be like, oh, just really,
I've changed my perspective on things and life in general. I've kind of started to develop the ability to look at the bigger picture of things. I think I've stepped back and been able to look into my world and realise that, the things that I can't control might not be worth worrying about.
But I think the external view of anxiety is probably maybe something that's, maybe it's a bit of a weakness, or it's kind of a deficiency of character where it really doesn't have to be, because it can help you do some great things. And I think a lot of particularly creative people have elements of it.
I feel like it's really important, people need to open up about it, because you feel really isolated if you kind of just trap yourself in your house or whatever, feeling like no one understands.
Maybe if someone was to see the documentary and see something in it that they experienced themselves but have never really thought about as any sort of thing, that maybe it could help them to get to know themselves a bit better.
It will allow them to just feel a little bit of what we feel, I guess, when we have a panic attack or something goes wrong and we respond with anxiety.